Are you stuck in the hamster wheel of client work or deliverables where you feel like all you're doing is your business tasks and making your clients happy, and you haven't actually crafted up and created your ideal day or figured out how to make that happen? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to really master your way of being so that you can do exactly the tasks that you want to do in your business and either delegate or ditch the rest, believe it or not. So let's talk about your ideal day, how to stop shoulding and wishing and dreaming that, oh, when I just get past this busy season, then I'll do X, Y, and Z. I hear that all the time. So we're going to stop doing that and we're going to create a reality. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson, and I help high-performing artists and creative leaders grow and scale communities so that marketing is easy. This podcast combines business tips and real-life experiences in being the creative entrepreneur that we all are. So you're in the right place if you want to leave feeling a little bit more confident and normalize these day-to-day struggles that we all experience as business owners. And you can do this while mastering your marketing so that business is light and easy. I'm so glad you're joining me here where we can get a little bit messy, a little bit creative, and it's okay to be super ambitious. Let's get started. All right, before we dive in, I want to remind you guys about our free Facebook community called The Community Builder. It is a group about groups where we make marketing easy if you're interested in growing or monetizing a community online so that you don't have to work so hard on your marketing or feel like you're on an island all by yourself. And we're going to be offering a free training next month. So make sure that you are inside that free Facebook community and you'll find all kinds of golden nuggets. I send out emails and swipe conversation starters and all that good stuff on a regular basis. And there's just some really good stuff in there. And of course, some amazing human beings. So if you have not yet joined us inside the Community Builder, just hop over to Facebook, search the Community Builder in groups and give us a join. We can't wait to see you on the inside. So let's talk about creating your dream workday. And what does this have to do with anything? Well, I help business owners, creatives, and high-achieving artists build community so that marketing is easy, and we can't master our marketing if we are stuck just doing work, right? Busy, 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 busy. Check the boxes, get everything done. And something that I hear all the time in real life, in work life, is this whole concept of once I get past this, then I'll do that, right? And then it never happens. And I'm guilty of this too. I mean, I did that this summer. I was like, once the summer's done and I get my work schedule back, then I'll be able to do blah, blah, blah. That's a little bit different because my summer was strategically planned out and my fall was strategically planned out. I mentioned that on a previous episode that I took time off in the summer because I'm always bursting to get back to work in the fall. And I knew that if I planned, the Community Growth Lab launch and some really cool stuff that is coming up, you guys, for right after the kids go back to school, that I would be mentally and energetically in a really, really good place to, bring my A game. And so that is all related because I created my ideal summer where I didn't have to work and I was feeling a lot more burnt out. And I strategically planned my comeback knowing that I would be creatively bursting at the seams. And what does this look like on a daily basis, right? Like we can plan these big moments for, months and seasons and summers, but when we're actually busy doing work, how do we make sure that we're operating from our highest good and creating our perfect day? And step one is going to sound obvious, but you have to know what that looks like. You have to know what your perfect day looks like. What time do you start work? What time do you finish work? What tasks are you doing during the day? Because a lot of times people will just know, I want to work less or I'm unhappy, but they haven't actually clearly defined that perfect day. And I have actually learned to help CEOs with this when I'm consulting for, $1 million companies. And they bring me in and they're like, oh, we just want, our CEO to be able to work less. We just want her to be able to get off work at 5 o'clock and not be glued to her computer at 7 p.m. And I'm like, okay, great. This is really important information for me to know so that I can adapt my way of being to serve the day that she desires. And gosh, these CEOs all the time are working, at night, and they're texting their team, they're voxing their team, they're slacking their team at night. And all that does is create an environment where now the team members, are working outside of business hours. But if those team members know that, yes, we might be working at this time right now, but we are striving to get out of that. We are striving to end our day at 5 p.m. And if those team members know, and if they're forward thinkers and they believe in like creating a reality, right? They're going to adapt how they show up so that they're trying to fit in the CEO's perfect day box, right? And everyone has personal boundaries. I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about when I'm, working inside someone's company at a high level, I'm going to do everything I can do to help them adapt to their ideal day, right? So one of the first questions I ask is like, what does your dream day look like? And if it's like, okay, well, I start my day at 10 and I end my day at 5 and I only take 3 Zoom meetings a day and I don't take any meetings on Friday, it's easier for me to show up in a way that serves that vision because they've clearly communicated it to me, right? And we need to be clearly communicating to ourselves as well. So if you're listening and you're a solopreneur, I want you to write your ideal day on a whiteboard, in an agenda, on a sticky note, somewhere where you can actually see it. Okay? And then you have to ask yourself, who do I need to become, or what characteristics do I need to adapt to be able to actually stick within the parameters of this day? Okay? And I want you to really think about that because it's not just, oh, I'm just committed enough. It's, no, I am someone who says no. I am someone who builds a calendar where people can only book with me during certain times. I am someone who is okay if a task doesn't get finished, right? I am someone who will delegate tasks that are less than my hourly rate. So get really clear on the characteristics that it takes to be the business owner that can show up for that perfect day. And then you have to start embodying that. It's that simple. Get clear on what the perfect day is. Get clear on what characteristics you need to take on in order to make that happen. And then commit to actually doing that. And I'll use a few examples, in my life or my business where I do this. And going to the gym is one of them. And I have it in my calendar, my physical Google calendar, that I go to the gym every Monday and Wednesday between 3 and 5. So my days end about 4. So I just write down that Mondays and Wednesdays I end early or I don't take meetings because I'm committed to going to the gym and it's in my calendar and I see it. I see it right in front of my face the same way I would see a Zoom meeting. And that's my reminder of like showing up for who I need to be to stay committed to my calendar, which creates my ideal workday. And this has come up for me in a really big way this fall because I had to make some adjustments to make sure that, I could be available to pick up Anthony 5 days a week. And I haven't had to do that. I've been spoiled, with my mother-in-law. We have a village that helps with our kids. And I've been able to take meetings, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, much, much later. But I decided to simplify my schedule for my dream day. I wanted to make sure that I was available to pick him up, even if I don't have to, right? Even if we end up lining up a sitter or my husband gets off work, like we have a lot of variables in our family, but I wanted to protect that time on my calendar so that I could let go of the stress of having to have childcare for him during certain hours. And when I do have childcare, it's a bonus. So I decided that I am not going to take meetings, between the hours of, say 12:45 and then all the way through when my kids get off the bus. So I'm essentially ending my day as far as meetings go with my clients or with whomever at 12:45 Eastern. And I was like, okay, this isn't going to work all the time. So I opened up my calendar on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evenings just for an hour or two. And that is only for paid clients. So why am I sharing all this? You guys are like, I don't care about your schedule, Liz. Nobody cares, right? But I'm saying this out loud because that is who I needed to become in order to build my perfect day. And I had to say, if that means that somebody has less choices to meet with me, so be it. If that means someone has to wait longer to meet with me, so be it. I'm covering my priorities as a business owner and my core values by making sure that I at least do have some times for my West Coast people and that those times are prioritized to those that, are actually paid clients. Anybody that wants a coffee chat or a free networking call or a podcast interview, those things can happen, within my working hours. And that was a hard decision. That was hard. I felt like, guilty, like a little bit of my people-pleasing stuff was bubbling up. But when I weighed the options of the energy that it takes for me to be constantly organizing my kid's schedule with my schedule against making all these people happy or making myself more accessible, it was a no-brainer. And I close my eyes and I envision, myself as this future version of me, that's this future business owner. And what does my day look like? And what are my boundaries as far as my work day look like? And that's what I see, right? It's less accessibility and it's more time freedom. So I adapted and I made the changes I need to make to become that version of myself, if that makes sense. So when you think about your dream day and building your work schedule in a way that serves your clients and serves you as the business owner, what does that look like? And if you're saying, Liz, this is great in theory, but I'm so busy, I can't even think about meetings, right? Maybe you don't have a lot of meetings because maybe you're a solopreneur and you're just in creative mode and you're just creating and delivering. Maybe you're taking commissions and custom work and that's literally all you do. And meetings are not even a thing for you. Okay. Well, then we've got to look really closely at the supply and demand that you're dealing with, and energetically, how often do you want to work? How often do you want to create or work on deliverables for your customers? Is it 2 hours a day? Is it 6 hours a day? You've got to look at your supply and demand and your energetic time and find that balance. And I know you're thinking it's impossible or that you'll have to price yourself out of the market. There's all this resistance coming up. Okay? I already know that's what's happening. So that just means that your brain is trying to learn something new. And when we feel that resistance, it means we're trying to learn something new. We're trying something different. And our body and our brain wants to kind of stay safe. And when we just stay in busy mode and deliver mode, we're staying safe because we're not having to try anything uncomfortable or take any risks to reach a new level. So step 1 is to just get really clear on what your perfect day looks like. What offers does that include? How are you showing up for your people? Does it mean letting go of something that is no longer serving you? Letting go of something that might be making you money. But the sooner you let that go, the sooner you can let in what you really need to create your perfect workday. Okay, getting really clear on that perfect workday, writing it out, visualizing it. Does it look the same all 5 days a week? I don't take meetings anymore on Mondays and Fridays because I really am just valuing that time freedom and that time to create. And then, of course, write down the characteristics, the ways of being, who do you need to become to actually make that a reality. And then the third one is, how are you going to commit to making that happen? For me, it's like physically putting things in the calendar. Knowing I record my podcast every single Wednesday so that my team can have a week to get it ready the following Wednesday. I'm committed to that. That is a characteristic or a commitment that I had to embody to make sure that this podcast goes out every single week on a timely basis, and that my team has enough time and space to protect their energy. We work on this together, right? So I just know that is a commitment that I take care of on Wednesdays. And that's part of becoming who I need to be to have this dreamy schedule. And I commit to it. I put it in my calendar. The calendar is the action that grounds this way of being, this commitment. And that might look different for you. It might be a to-do list. It might be a whiteboard. You got to put it somewhere, a journal. Mine is my calendar. I live and die by my Google Calendar. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you will go create your dream day, because the sooner you live out that day, the better leader you will be, the better community builder you will be, because nobody wants to follow in the footsteps of somebody who's unhappy and isn't the best version of themselves or is too busy. You don't want to be too busy for the people that need you the most, right? And I don't just mean your clients that you're serving and delivering, right? But the people that need you the most need you at the best version of yourself. Do I need to say that again? You need to be the best version of yourself in order to really serve and reach and have the maximum impact. And that doesn't happen overnight, but the awareness and the action steps towards that make you a better leader, make you a better community builder, and you will attract the right people to you, right? Because they're going to say, wow, man, like she's fulfilled, she's happy, she's passionate. She makes time for herself. How the heck does Liz run a business and make time to go to the gym, right? Be that person. What characteristics do you need, and what commitments do you need to make, and how will you ground them in action? All right, community builders. Don't forget to join us inside the Community Growth Lab on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram at Elizabeth.Henson. And as always, if this episode was helpful, please leave us a review or share it with a friend. That would mean the world to me. This podcast is my favorite place to show up and hang out with you guys. And I just appreciate you hitting the play button. And I'm so grateful to have you here as part of my community at the Messy Success Podcast. And I will see you guys next week.